Hi friends, Mickey Mangus here and welcome to Out the Back Door. Today I'm going to be making a super easy turnover for breakfast, so join me. Mr. Mankus always likes some type of a bakery for breakfast before he goes to work during the week, so I decided, all right, we're out of turnovers, I'll make those, even though he's got banana bread. But anyway, I'm going to be starting with puff pastry sheets. It doesn't matter what brand you're using, but I am going to be using both packages in here. I'm going to be making a total of 12 turnovers. So just read the instructions on the puff pastry. Mine says I need to thaw it out for 40 minutes before using it. And I'm going to be sprinkling out some flour on a surface here. I'm just going to use one of my silicone sheets. That is what I'm going to be using to put all my turnovers on. And I've got a silicone liner on here also. You can use parchment paper. If you don't have either one, you can spray it with like a non-stick spray like Pam, for example. You're just going to have to keep an eye on the bottoms though, because they will get brown a lot faster if you don't use parchment paper or the silicone liners. But anyway, so I'm just going to spread out my flour on here. And I'll get a little bit on my rolling pin. Oh, I want to give a shout out to my friend Jarrett. He's got a brand new company that he just started recently, and it's called All Things New. He does woodworking projects, and this is where I got my rolling pin from, and I really like that. So thanks, Jarrett. If you're interested in checking him out, I'll put a link to his Etsy store down in the description box. So I'm going to start with one of the sheets to begin with. All right, they've got paper in between here. We're going to pull that out. I'm going to try to roll this out to get it to the size of my silicone baking mat. I'm going to be making cherry turnovers today, and the reason it's super easy to do is because I'm using my own cherry pie filling. You can use any pie filling from the store. I've done blueberry, I've done apple. I had a jar of mango that I had canned up last year, and I opened that up and I decided, hey, I bet that would make really good turnovers also. Okay, I've got that pretty well squared up, and now I'm going to cut this into 6 pieces total. I'm using a pizza cutter, and I'm going to start by going up lengthwise, and then I'm just going to eyeball into thirds. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to be making an egg wash. I had put 1 egg in here and about a tablespoon of water, and I'm going to mix this up because we're going to use this around the edges of our turnovers to seal them. Okay, and I've got a pastry brush, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to put it along 2 sides, and that's it, because we're going to be folding these from tip to tip, corner to corner, instead of in half, although I suppose you could do them in half. But anyway, like I said, I'm just going to do an egg wash along here, and I'm going to do all of them because then I can start just putting the filling in and folding them over. And if I didn't mention earlier, I am going to be using both sheets of the puff pastry because I want 12 turnovers. You might be able to get better squares out of yours than I did. Sometimes I get a little heavy on one hand or another when I'm using the rolling pin, and I start stretching it out some. Okay, and as I said, I'm using cherry pie filling. And you don't need a lot. Although my husband said, can I have more filling in it? What happens is when you fold it over and you try to press the sides, the filling starts oozing out. So it's like, well, you got to try to find that happy medium. Generally, out of a quart jar that I do my pie filling in, I'm able to get 12 turnovers. Okay, I've got my filling in all of mine, and I'm just, like I said, opposite corners together. And I'm just going to kind of finger press these right now until I get them all done. And this is where you're going to find out if you had too much filling in it or not. Too much filling. At the same time I've been working on these, I preheated my oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. So now all I'm going to do is take a fork and I'm going to go around the edge and press it down to pinch it shut. And once I get all those done, I'll show you the next step. All right, I'm just going to use some type of a spatula. And I'm going to start setting these on my tray. You don't want them super close together as I'm putting them like this, but at the same time, you're going to run out of room if you give them too much room. You're welcome to put 6 on each tray if you want. If you've got a convection oven, that will work, where you can put one tray on one rack and one on the other. I'll be putting these on my center rack of the oven. And I can hear Mr. Mankus right now. If any two stick together, he counts it as one. And normally he eats 2 turnovers every morning for breakfast when I make them. So I have one that was a little deformed. I didn't get it quite square. And he's probably going to say it's a reject, so he needs to eat a third. All right, I'm going to get going on the next sheet of the puff pastry, and as soon as I'm done doing that, I'm going to show you the next step. Okay, I've got all 12 of my turnovers on the pan, and the next thing I'm going to do, I still have egg wash remaining, and I am going to brush this on the tops of the turnovers. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One, the egg wash is going to give a nice brown color to the top of our turnover. And second, I'm not going to be putting like a glaze on top of these when they come out of the oven, which you're welcome to do. I'm going to be sprinkling these with sanding sugar. And if you don't know what sanding sugar is, it's just a coarser sugar that's used a lot for bakery, desserts, that type of thing, that you would sprinkle on top. I do it a lot when I'm making my apple pie. And so that is why I'm putting the additional egg wash on here. Now you don't have to put any type of an icing or any sugar on top if you don't want, but this just gives a little more sweetness to it. And I see 1 or 2 of my turnovers. The filling is like kind of oozing out of the edges, so as I said, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of the sanding sugar on top. If you do want to make a glaze for it when they're baking, you can just mix powdered sugar and water together so that it comes to a nice icing consistency that you can drizzle it on afterwards. The next step, I'm going to get this into the oven. Like I said, I've got the oven set at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to bake these for 20 minutes. I'm going to start keeping an eye on them towards the very end, because if they start getting too dark before 20 minutes is up, I'm going to pull them out. And I'll be right back. Oh, these really smell good. All right, I'm going to leave these sit on the rack to cool down, say about 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to remove them from the pan. I'll put them on the cooling rack by themselves to let them completely cool down. If you don't do that, what's going to happen is the bottom are going to get soggy. So I'll keep an eye on them, and I'll get them off of here and onto the cooling rack. Here's what they look like right out of the oven. And now I'm going to start placing them on the cooling rack so that the bottoms will cool off faster and they don't get soggy. See, these two are kind of sticking together, and I can just hear Mr. Mankus, "That's one! That's only one!" He likes to do that a lot. So besides the apple pie filling and the cherry pie filling, blueberry filling, the mango that I did not long ago, peach would be good. And if you want to take the time, you know what else would be really good is making like a pecan pie filling, something on that order, and put it in for a filling. I just thought by using a jar or a can of pie filling, this would go a lot faster than, say, example, if you actually make apple turnovers from scratch and then you go and chop up the apple and everything and you've got to cook it down with your seasonings. This is really quick and easy. Kind of a cheater method, but I made this pie filling, you know, before, went through the work of doing that, so. All right, I grabbed the one that kind of, some of the guts came out of the side, but I'm just gonna cut this open. All right, and there's our quick and easy turnover that we just got done making. Super fast and easy, really good, and I'm sure Mr. Mankus is gonna be happy that I have these now. So, if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, and give me a thumbs up. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. I'd really like to hear from you. So until next time, you have a wonderful day. God bless. I wonder if anybody else is as messy as I am. Anybody else as messy as me?